Welcome to today's reading of Srimad Bhagavatam. We're going to continue from chapter 30 of the third canto, entitled Description by Lord Kapila of Adverse Fruitive Activities. And text we are on today, we're starting on today from text 33 onwards. And before that, as always, we recite the glorification verses of Srimad Bhagavatam called Mahima Stotram Sanatana Goswami from Sri Krishna Lila Stava. Sarva Shastra Abdi Piyusha Sarva Vedaika Satpala Sarva Siddhant Naratnadya Sarva Lokaika Drik Pradam Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad Bhagavata Prabhu Kalidvanto Ditaditya Shri Krishna Parivartita Paramananda Patnaya Prema Vakshaksharayate Sarvanda Sarva Sivyaya Shri Krishna Namostume Madhika Bandha Matsangin Madguru Matmahadana Madnishtaraka Madbhagya Madananda Namostute Asadu Tadain Adini Chochatarakam Hanamuncha Kadachinmam Premna Harit Kantayos Puram. Translation. On nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths, you are the only giver of sight to all of the worlds. O life air of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master Srimad Bhagavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali, you are the exact image of Sri Krishna. I bow down to you who are supremely blissful to read, your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone, you are Sri Krishna himself. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down to you. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me. Always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, after the invocation, which is always to be done before you to start reading the Holy Scripture, we're gonna just delve in and we're gonna continue reading translation and purports of Srimad Bhagavatam, starting from 33 of chapter 30, canto 3. Translation. Therefore, so there's still Lord Kapila is speaking to his mother Devahuti and instructing her. Translation. Therefore, a person who is very eager to maintain his family and kinsmen simply by black methods certainly goes to the darkest region of hell, which is known as Andhatamishra. Purport. 3 words in this verse are very significant. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. 3 words in this verse are very significant. Kevalena means only by black methods. Adharmena means unrighteous or irreligious. And Kutumba Bharana means family maintenance. Maintaining one's family is certainly the duty of a householder, but one should be eager to earn his livelihood by the prescribed method, as stated in the scriptures. In Bhagavad Gita, it is described that the Lord has divided the social system into 4 classifications of castes or varnas according to the quality and work. Apart from Bhagavad Gita, in every society, a man is known according to his quality and work. For example, when a man is constructing wooden furniture, he is called a carpenter, and a man who works with an anvil and iron is called a blacksmith. Similarly, a man who is engaged in the medical or engineering fields has a particular duty and designation. All these human activities have been divided by the Supreme Lord into 4 varnas, namely Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. In Bhagavad Gita and in other Vedic literatures, the duties of the Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra are mentioned. One should work honestly according to his qualification. He should not earn his livelihood unfairly by means for which he is not qualified. If a Brahmana who works as a priest so that he may enlighten his followers, the spirit of life is not qualified as a priest, then he is cheating the public. One should not earn by such unfair means. The same is applicable to a Kshatriya or to a Vaishya. It is especially mentioned that the means of livelihood of those who are in Krishna consciousness must be very fair and uncomplicated. Here it is mentioned that he who earns his livelihood by unfair kevalena is sent to the darkest hellish region. Otherwise, if one maintains his family prescribed methods, and this means there is no objection to one's being a family man. Okay, that's clear. Text 34. Having gone through all the miserable hellish conditions passed in a regular order through the lowest forms of animal life prior to human birth, and having thus purged of his sins, one is reborn again as a human being on this earth. Purport. Just as a prisoner who has undergone troublesome prison life is free again, the person who engaged in impious and mischievous activity is put into hellish conditions, and when he has undergone different hellish lives, namely those of lower animals like cats, dogs, and hogs, the gradual process of evolution, he again. Bhagavad Gita, it is stated that even though a person engaged in the practice of the yoga system may not finish perfectly and may fall down for some reason or other, his next life as a human being is guaranteed. It is stated that such a person who has fallen from the path of the yoga practice is given a chance in his next life to take birth in a very family or in a very. It is interpreted that rich family refers to a big mercantile family, because generally people who engage in trades and mercantile business are very rich. One who engaged in the of self or connecting with the Supreme Absolute Truth but fell short, allowed to take birth in such a rich family, or he is allowed to take birth in a family of pious Brahmana. Either way, he is guaranteed to appear in human society in his next life. It concluded that if someone is not willing to enter into hellish life, as in Tamishra or Tamishra, then he must take to the process of Krishna consciousness, the first system, because even if one is unable to attain complete Krishna consciousness in this life, he needs at least to take birth in a human family. He cannot be sent into a hellish condition. Krishna consciousness is life, and it protects all human beings from gliding down to hell to take birth in the family of dogs or hogs. Thus ends the 30th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, titled Description by Lord Kapila of Adverse Fruitive Acts. We just finished this chapter. The chapter is entitled Lord Kapila's Instructions on the Movements of the Living Entity. Kapila continues now another topic, goes in another topic, explaining all this knowledge of existence to her mother. So text 1, 31st. The personality of Godhead said, under the supervision of the Supreme Lord and according to the result of his work, the living entity, the soul, is made into the womb through a particle of male semen to assume a particular type. Purport. As stated in the last chapter, after suffering different kinds of hellish conditions, a man comes again to the body. The same topic is continued in this chapter. So, okay, the same topic. In order to give a particular type of human form to a person who has already suffered each life, the soul is transferred to the semen of a man who is just suitable to become his father. During sexual intercourse, the semen is transferred through the semen of the father into the mother's womb in order to produce a particular type of body. This process is applicable to all embodied living entities, but it is especially mentioned for the man who was transferred to the Anda Tramishra hell. After suffering there, when he who has had many types of hellish bodies, like those of dogs and hogs, is to come again to the human form, he is given the chance to take his birth in the same type of body from which he degraded himself to hell. Everything is done by the supervision of the Supreme Personality. Material nature supplies the body, but it does so under the direction of the Supersoul. It is said in Bhagavad Gita that a living entity is wandering in this material world on a chariot made by material nature. The Supreme Soul, the Supreme Lord, as Supersoul, is always present with the individual soul. He directs material nature to supply a particular type of body to the individual soul according to the result of his work, and the material nature supplies it. Here one word, Reta Kenashrayaham, is very significant because it indicates that it is not the semen of the man that creates life within the womb of a woman. Rather, the living entity, the soul, takes shelter in a particle of semen and is then pushed into the womb of a woman. Then the body develops. There is no possibility of creating a living entity without the presence of the soul simply by sexual intercourse. The materialistic theory that there is no soul and that a child is born simply by material combination of the sperm and ovum is not very feasible. It is unacceptable.
I have a question.
Yeah, I was not going to answer.
How is possible to know this? Like how who could have
About
who
this.
could have found body that would be
Well, they didn't do scientific research or like laboratory tests and all that. They didn't done
I
that.
think it's quite easy. Like I think it's quite significant how
It makes sense, right? Yeah.
How it's the pinnacle of life being therapeuted or transmigrated, and when you kind of look at it in a certain way, you can see how it is not in a materialistic form that is taking place. It's a pure spiritual transformation or transference, like, you know.
Yeah.
I can see it, like, you know.
Yeah. You feel.
I can see it, like.
Yeah, Lionel took answer a little bit. I don't know if I answer like you to be fully satisfied, but it's the knowledge that came down. I mean, we all kind of used to knowledge that we kind of go and get it and research and find out.
Yeah.
This is the one that's like ascending. We try to get the knowledge, but it's not. We can't get the whole thing. We're getting like bit by bit by our way of getting the knowledge.
It's almost too pure a form to be materialistic.
Mm.
You know, it's too pure. It's too pure. The transaction between the sperm going into the egg, and it's just too pure a form to actually be a materialistic kind of procedure. You could say.
Procedure, act. Yeah.
That's good. Like.
So yeah, but just like the theory, as here it's stated, the theory it just sort of the sperm and the ovum, and that it creates the body, like it's I don't know what's the word that inseminates.
The heart comes first, like, do you know what I mean?
That's also described how it's.
As soon as it enters into the egg, like, do you know what I mean? Within a matter of seconds, you can hear the heartbeat. But because it's the first thing that enters the divinatory platform of what's happening, like, you know, the first thing to come into the body is the heart, and the first divinatory platform of a sperm entering is the heart, like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Start developing the cells, like multiplying all this. So like how it develops the whole body from all the organs and all. It's all there, but it wouldn't be possible without a living being. So the sperm and ovum, there's no living. It's not living being.
Yeah.
So it has to be a consciousness, a spiritual spark to move anything in life. So, but the materialistic theory is just that life gets created. It starts from zero to life. So our proof is, or it can be discussed and read the books and like, or how you cannot life cannot come from matter. Life can come from life. It's kind of as simple as it's the only you cannot create like life out of. You can say, okay, I'll create it. They maybe you can try it, but they're still trying to create life out of it. So that's maybe something else there. Yeah, we don't. So we don't know. No. I mean, or maybe maybe I heard. Yeah.
I think it was something like the male attraction of semen just also all of a sudden just entered into an omnious array of energy, and then all of a sudden, like, do you know what I mean, female energy just spurred, like, do you know what I mean, and it just kind of all came to at the same time, like, do you know what I mean? And then they joined arcs with angels and great divinatory births, and they kind of discussed building our reality around us to have an experience in a human body to enjoy the unified God theory, which is the sperm and the egg, like, do you know what I mean? So we've come down to a lower platform to actually experience ourselves to go higher again, you know. Some people take the lower birth when they're not very taught or well adjourned to the seed entering the egg, and they just kind of ruin it for other people. And, that's another part, of course. Those who go up. He's describing those who go down and then come back,
And there's another, of course, those who are up to all the higher planets, and they have their own kind of a mission there and enjoyments and thing, and they come back. Okay, anyway, this is like a long story, but why this actually here is the crossroads. In the earth realm is the crossroads, and here you get like you can go to the higher, those beings who are higher, they are in one sense sometimes mentioned they envy the humans in a sense that because here they can get above where they are, above in the spiritual realm. The higher materialistic planets of the aliens and demigods, it's not spiritual.
The sacral chakra is much more stronger when it's compact down into a smaller veg. You know what I mean? So our sexual egos and our sexual desires are much stronger. So you can really pivot, and then you can also access the pyramids and Thoth and all the other gods. Like, you know what I mean? And that access is just infinite worlds and paradoxes and it's like a lot for me to get. Yeah, so we can something can be talk later, maybe some interesting information. There's lots out there. Continue sticking to, because it's really systematic here, Bhagavatam, and in one sense simple. It puts it all in a simple language. But next verse is verse 2.
I'm from India only.
Only from India? That's your book, right? Indian book, yeah?
It's Bhagavad Gita.
Please, you can join us. We can read a little bit. It's actually not Bhagavad Gita. It's actually continuation Bhagavad Gita. You heard about Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is not where Lord Krishna talks, but it's actually about Lord Krishna.
There is no Pandit or something?
No Pandit here anymore. Yeah, Sunday the Pandit comes. Sunday. 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock.
Yeah, there'll be Pandit from. Yeah, there'll be one like famous Pandit. He will be preaching. Yeah, he will give some pravachan, and you can.
Puja he will perform, right?
Also, yeah.
Come and join.
Yeah. Come at 3 o'clock. Yeah. Any other day you can come for meditation or darshan. Yeah. Hari. Text 2. On the
That seat we have here.
Sorry?
That seat we have here, right?
Which seat?
Like office or something.
Office.
Donate, we can donate or something.
It's probably only the best there in Hundi. But if you want, then Sunday you can talk with maybe temple president if you want maybe something specific.
And also lunch or something.
Maybe Sundays there's lunch as prasadam.
At what
Sunday prasadam after at the end 5 o'clock. Yeah. But come before. Text 2. On the first night, so that's when man and woman come together. They just got married.
You got married?
No. But here you're reading. Now you're going to tell us. Are you Lionel? No, you're not. You're not married. We are the brahmacharis. On the first night, the sperm and ovum mix, and on the 5th night, the mixture ferments into a bubble. On the 10th night, it develops into a form like a plum, and after that, it gradually turns into a lump of flesh or an egg, as the case may be. Purport: the body of the soul develops. So you see, the body of the soul. That's how it's called. Body of the soul develops in 4 different ways, according to its different sources. One kind of body, that of the trees and plants, sprouts from the earth. The second kind of body grows from perspiration, as with flies, germs, and bugs. The third kind of body develops from eggs, and the fourth develops from embryo. This verse indicates that after emulsification of the ovum and sperm, the body gradually develops either into a lump of flesh or into an egg, as the case may be. In the case of birds, it develops into an egg, and in the case of animals and human beings, it develops into a lump of flesh. So a little biology there. 101. Text 3. In the course of a month, a head is formed, and at the end of the 2 months, the hands, feet, and other limbs take shape. By the end of 3 months, the nails, fingers, toes, body hair, bones, and skin appear, as do the organ of generation and other apertures in the body, namely the eyes, nostrils, ears, mouth, and anus. Text 4. Within 4 months from the date of conception, the 7 essential ingredients of the body, namely, how you pronounce that? Chlye? Child? I don't even know is that.
Child be a perception.
Never
Maybe
saw
a
this.
sense of self. Child.
Something, this is ingredient of the body. So it's like, you see, because then it goes blood, flesh, fat, bone, marrow, and semen. So out of these 7, the one is really unknown to me. Anyway, we can check out later. Maybe if I have online, I'm not online. There's something. You will check, Lina. So when you're ready, just tell us. We can read later what it means. So child, blood, flesh, fat, bone, marrow, semen come into existence. At the end of 5 months, hunger and thirst make themselves felt, and at the end of 6 months, the fetus enclosed by the amnion begins to move on the right side of the abdomen. Purport: when the body of the child is completely formed at the end of 6 months, the child, if he is male, begins to move on the right side, and if female, she tries to move on the left side. So interesting. Yeah, I know. Like, there's all sorts of things that we find out. Huh?
It's mad, though.
Mad, huh?
I would have that in it, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
You go to Harvard and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Really, though, you would.
Text 5. Deriving its nutrition from the food and drink taken by the mother, and the fetus grows and remains in that abominable residence of stools and urine, which is the breeding place of all kinds of worms. Purport: in the Markandeya Purana, it is said that in the intestine of the mother, the umbilical cord, which is known as Apyayani, joins the mother to the abdomen of the child, and through this passage, the child within the womb accepts the mother's assimilated foodstuff. In this way, the child is fed by the mother's intestine within the grows from day to day. The statement of the Markandeya Purana about the child's situation within the womb is exactly corroborated by modern medical science, and thus the authority of the Puranas cannot be disproven or disproved, as is sometimes attempted by the Mayavadi philosophers and others, of course. Since the child depends completely on the assimilated foodstuff of the mother, during pregnancy there are restrictions on the food taken by the mother. Too much salt, chili, onion, and semen food is forbidden for the pregnant mother because the child's body is too delicate and new for him to tolerate such pungent food. The restrictions and precautions to be taken by the pregnant mother, as announced in the Smriti scriptures of Vedic literatures, are very useful. We can understand from the Vedic literature how much care is taken to beget a nice child in society. The Garbhadana ceremony before sexual intercourse was compulsory for persons in the higher grades of society, and it is very scientific. Other processes recommended in the Vedic literature during pregnancy are also very important. To take care of the child is the primary duty of the parents, because if such care is taken, society will be filled with good population to maintain the peace and prosperity of the society, country, and human race. Yeah. You found it?
No,
Yeah. Oh. Okay. You know the spelling? You know. Yeah, you have it. Huh?
yeah. It's a liquid that is
Liquid.
inside the intestine, like inside the
Yeah.
in the lymph, to emulsify fat and free fatty acids.
Okay.
It is formed in the small intestine during the digestion.
Cool. What's the name again? I forgot. Chide. Okay, got it. Well, it's
a bodily food.
body fluid in small intestine. Okay, text 6. Thank you. Bitten again and again all over the body by the hungry worms in the abdomen itself, the child suffers terrible agony because of his tenderness. He thus becomes unconscious moment after moment because of the terrible condition. It's text 6, Lina. Purport: the miserable condition of material existence is not only felt when we come out of the womb of the mother, but is also present within the womb. Miserable life begins from the moment the living entity begins to contact his material body. Unfortunately, we forget this experience and do not take the misery of birth very seriously. In Bhagavad Gita, therefore, it is specifically mentioned that one should be very alert to understand the specific difficulties of birth and death. Just as during the formation of this body, we have to pass through so many difficulties within the womb of the mother, at the time of death there are also many difficulties. As described in the previous chapter, one has to transmigrate from one body to another, and the transmigration into the bodies of dogs and hogs is especially miserable. But despite such miserable conditions, due to the spell of Maya, we forget everything and become enamored by the present so-called happiness, which is described as actually no more than a counteraction to distress.
Yeah, in psychology they say as well, it's the first trauma is the birth, like, is the trauma, the birth, like, because
Yeah, they're also in psychology.
yeah,
It's
Do
trauma.
you think the way it says the worms in the womb, is that more like, is that actual worms, or is it like more or less like
Some sort of parasites?
would they be parasites?
Parasites.
Yeah.
I read it as parasites.
Because I could unless off your eternal existence entering a material body could be like a parasite off of your enlightenment. But would is it significantly speaking that there are parasites that are material, or is it?
Yeah, it's
material parasite,
yeah. I don't know about aspect. Is there any
I
spiritual
think
aspect to
could
it?
be more of a spiritual thing.
You can read also things of face value, and there's like
I'll ask the
there
doctor next time I see him who does maternity. But there is no
Yeah.
such thing as parasites in the room. That's a very good way of looking at the material existence. You're entering a material existence, and your eternal core to life, where you are unawake in a body, would be getting leached off, like. You know?
Immediately.
Yeah.
There was moment. It starts at the womb, being leached off.
Like the Matrix, when you see them.
Oh yeah.
Flies, like,
Yeah.
They follow around, like, you know.
We have lots of psychological leeches in all sorts of forms. Subtle, gross, big, mechanical, or in the womb, spiritual leeches. We get leeched. Maya is the leech. Also. 7.
It's the illusion, like, you know, but it doesn't exactly drain you. I think that the sacred hidden seeds in Maya to take to the higher eternal planes. I don't know, I probably could get past that though, like, for this belief, but it's almost like the deeper you go into Maya, you find these prehistoric gems that you can bring back up as offerings and gifts, like, to the higher planes and the gods and the kings, like, you know.
Yeah, it all depends on your mindset, the way your perception.
And it could be something like of degradation. I felt so down, and I've come to the alignment of this is not my body, or it could be like this wasn't my body, and this is what I found. Like, you know what I mean? And it could be to do with childbirth. It could have either a positive or a negative effect with a dying. It's almost like it's rough, and you're bringing it up, and it's being polished, and it's becoming more fruitive, like, you know.
Yeah, well, when you would see as everything as to whom it really all belongs, you see everything as a gems.
Because a lot of people get very ill from Maya. I think that people that are in Maya and they've transcended over Maya, they get very ill, they get ill-mannered, they get aggravated, they get aggro, they have no bliss, they have no joy, they just know the truth, and they just want to cut off themselves and around them, like, you know, and it's just unacceptable, like, you know. Some gurus have it as well, like Osho, I think, started up in a cult. And it's just to be not looked lightly upon, like, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, thank you for that. Text 7. Owing to the mother's eating bitter pungent foodstuff, or food which is too salty or too sour, the body of the child incessantly suffers pains which are almost intolerable. Purport. All descriptions of the child's bodily situation in the womb of the mother are beyond our conception. It is very difficult to remain in such a position, but still the child has to remain. Because his consciousness is not very developed, the child can tolerate it, otherwise he would die. That is the benediction of Maya, just talking about, who endows the suffering body with the qualifications for tolerating such terrible tortures. Yeah, it's actually endows. It's a benediction.
Like in the army, like,
Yeah,
they have a
benediction.
built-in compass. They know how to fend for food, like, you know, they have all these great attributes to them, like, you know, and they're never seen, like, sometimes they
Yeah, we know you're coming. We know you're coming.
Sometimes they get a bit lost in
What are you
society,
looking for?
like, you know.
Are you lost?
I'm okay.
Okay.
I'm lost. Again, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Good to see you.
Where are you going with? You didn't ask. Sorry. Don't repeat after him.
No.
Because he'll bring it back. Because no. Sorry. Sorry for the interruptions.
No,
Sorry. Okay, we'll go back. Read text 8. Placed within the amnion, which again I don't know. Sorry my ignorance, but somewhere placed within the amnion and covered outside by the intestines, the child remains lying on one side of the abdomen, his head turned towards his belly, and his back and neck arched like a bow. Purport. If a grown man were put into such a condition as the child within the abdomen, completely entangled in all respects, it would be impossible for him to live even for a few seconds. Unfortunately, we forget all these sufferings and try to be happy in this life, not caring for the liberation of the soul from the entanglement of birth and death. It is an unfortunate civilization in which these matters are not plainly discussed to make people understand the precarious condition of material existence. 9. The child thus remains just like a bird in a cage without freedom of movement. At that time, if the child is fortunate, he can remember it, and he grieves wretchedly. What is in that condition? After birth, the child about the difficulties of past lives, understand the grievances undergone at birth and death by reading the authorized scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam. If we do not believe in the scriptures, that is a different question. But if we have faith in the authority of such descriptions, then we must prepare for our freedom in the next life. It is possible in this human form of life. One who does not take heed of these indications of suffering in human existence is said to be undoubtedly committing suicide. It is said that this human form of life is the only means for crossing over the nations of Maya or material existence. We have a very efficient boat in this human form of body, and there is a very expert captain, the spiritual master. The scriptural injunctions are like favorable winds. If we do not cross over the ocean of the nations of material existence, in spite of all these facilities, then certainly we are all intentionally committing suicide. Wow. Text 10. Thus endowed with the development of consciousness from the 7th month after his conception, the child is tossed downward by the airs that press the embryo during the weeks preceding delivery. Like the worms born of the same filthy abdominal cavity, he cannot remain in one place. Purport. At the end of the 7th, by the bodily air, and does not remain in the same place, for the entire uterine system comes before delivery. The worms have been described here as sodara. Sodara means born of the same mother. Since the child is born from the mother and the worms are of fermentation within the womb of the same mother, and the worms are actually brothers. Wow. We are very anxious to establish.
A subconscious level. I think it's like a level of body and then mind over body, and then having a parasite that's just almost like setting the two kind of the pinnacle in both levels, like, do you know what I mean? So it kind of becomes a subconscious alliance, like, you know.
Wow, you see it like that.
I've learned that people that use leeches in mystic, they are honest to God like fighting or letting go of something, and the leech removes is a toxin almost, or it removes toxins. So it's almost like punishing Maya within yourself, like, do you know what I mean? So it's very unusual.
Okay, it's interesting. It's interesting how you see
like,
what's your insight into this.
Like,
very interesting.
It's like an outlet to let go of something, like the opposite of a plaster, like, you know. It doesn't heal wounds, but it just kind of manifests around them, and you can kind of look into a wound, like, you know. It's different.
Okay.
So
Okay. Cheers. Thank you. We are very anxious to establish universal brotherhood among human beings, but we should take into consideration that even the worms are our brothers, what to speak of other living entities. Therefore, we should be concerned about all living entities. See, Prabhupada, he makes this connection here. Text 11. The living entity, in this frightful condition of life, bound by 7 layers of material ingredients, prays with folded hands, appealing to the Lord who has put him in that condition. Purport: it is said that when a woman is having labor pains, she promises that she will never again become pregnant and suffer from such a severely painful condition. Similarly, when one is undergoing some surgical operation, he promises that he will never again act in such a way as to become diseased and have to undergo medical surgery. Or when one falls into danger, he promises that he will never again make the same mistake. Similarly, the living entity, when put into hellish condition of life, prays to the Lord that he will never again commit sinful activities and have to be put into the womb of repeated birth and death. In the hellish condition within the womb, the living entity is very much afraid of being born again. But when he is out of the womb, when he is in full life and good health, he forgets everything and commits again and again the same sins for which he was put into that horrible condition of existence. There we go. 12. So now, someone else starts speaking, called Jantur Uvacha. And that's the human soul. Human soul says, praying to the Lord, I take shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who appears in his various eternal forms and walks on the surface of the world. I take shelter of him only because he can give me relief from all fear, and from him I have received this condition of life, which is just befitting my impious activities. Purport: the word Charanara Vindam refers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who actually walks or travels upon the surface of the world. For example, Lord Ramachandra actually walked on the surface of the world, and Lord Krishna also walked just like an ordinary man. The prayer is therefore offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who descends to the surface of this earth or any part of this universe for the protection of the pious and the destruction of the impious. It is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita that when there is an increase of irreligion and discrepancies arise in the real religious activities, the Supreme Lord comes to protect the pious and kill the sinners. This verse indicates Lord Krishna. Another significant point in this verse is that the Lord comes, ichaya, by his own will. As Krishna confirms in Bhagavad Gita, sambhavan atmamayaya, I appear at my will by my internal potential power. He is not forced to come by the laws of material nature. It is stated here, ichaya. He does not assume any form as the personists think, because he comes at his own will, and the form in which he descends is his eternal form. As the Supreme Lord puts the living entity into the condition of horrible existence, he can also deliver them, and therefore one should seek at the lot of Krishna. Krishna demands, give up everything and surrender. It is also said in Bhagavad Gita that anyone who approaches to accept a form in material existence goes back to Godhead, back home, never to return.
So
To not come
I
or
read
to
that in a like Bhagavad Gita, and it says those who go in don't come back, and those who go into the darkness come in many different forms, like, do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I've already entered into the light, and I've seen the cord, like, you know, I've held on to it, and there's sometimes I just kind of have this joyous experience where I go into the darkness, like, you know, and I play, and sometimes it's a sense gratification where I feed, and then it's almost like a small down period, like, do you know what I mean, where I just want to enjoy myself. But then when I come here, it's like you kind of forget, like, do you know what I mean, I've already come here, like, you know, I've already seen, and all that's left is just to conceive, like, you know, and not me personally, but to have a woman and many wives to conceive, like, you know.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So, no, it's really super important, this part, like
Yeah.
that means that he descends with his own will and by my internal potential power. Okay, and let's see.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Please.
so to protect the pious and kill the impious.
Mhm.
So it's a form of protection descending on her, isn't it?
Yeah, the Lord comes by His own will, and then he gives that promise, and he came a few times
Yeah.
in every yuga, right?
Yes. So it's a form of purification, kind of.
Purification. When there's adharma kind of prevails, He comes to reestablish the dharma. That's His promise.
Mm-hmm.
Again, there's like a cycle of all the yugas that as things deteriorate and the religious principles go down and the truthfulness it's gone, etc. There's like 4 legs of dharma, and we are only standing on one leg now in the Kali Yuga.
Yes.
It's also was described in first canto.
Yes.
Yeah, you remember? Yeah, we were reading here.
I think it's glorified the chariot here when it says like that Krishna has walked like an ordinary man on the platform of earth, and how he walks upon it like it's waters, like, you know, and the way I think it's glorified is if he's transcendent over the whole world and it can walk among it like an ordinary man and actually walk on the surface of it. You'd have to think how glorified the chariot was at war, like, you know what I mean, that he was he was given to actually go to war with, like, you know,
Mm.
was given, like, you know.
I'm glorified and how blessed.
You'd have to
How-
imagine how big it
how-
was,
how-
like, you know.
Yeah, it was also big. Yeah, they were bigger. Everyone had bigger bodies, different yugas. Yeah, yeah. But the whole earth, especially Vrindavan, was glorified. It still is glorified and blessed by being stepped by the Lord's lotus feet. So we can still go places with. Yes.
Imagine the scene, like anyone who approach him during this incarnation does not come back again to accept his material existence.
Yeah, those who are fortunate to have like a personal darshan, or personally seen and interacted, they have a different kind of like future. They're already kind of compiled or got like all these credits, like they were really pious. Already Sukriti was built up. They came to personal association. It didn't just happen. They weren't just there accidentally, as there's no like accidents. Like they were like, you know, there's like many are there, came with him as entourage, as king comes with entourage with all the other servants. He also came with everyone there from the spiritual. They start appearing on the earthly planet. It's not that he came and no one else from the spiritual realm came. Whole loads of personalities came along, so they were there and prepared the whole thing. So, and then they left. All leaving, and everyone they coming in touch with. All they were jivatmas. They weren't like they were the living beings. As they got completely purified. They experienced their nature. It's not going to be reincarnated here as like as ordinary mortal.
You believe that they came here, or that they were already from here?
Who?
Who you're trying to glorify?
Like talking about those two sets of like souls,
Yeah.
like being from those who came alongside with the Lord, who came by His own will because there was a time and there was a need and a reason, and they came together and they left together, not at the same time, or just like once they all start leaving. It's also described here actually in Bhagavatam, all that when they come, and by other living beings who got in touch by their high piety, that they were there and they got interaction. They were, I don't know, wherever, villagers there, and they happened to see him from afar, or whatever, even that. There was a highlighted that took a different turn in their life so they were definitely blessed to highest degree possible to be able to have real darshan of the Lord. Anyway, I think we are okay. So we continue. If you want, like any more discussion, I think it's time. I'm not going to continue reading anymore. I just checked. It's 7:30, so we're gonna finish here we're reading. We can have a little bit more discussion. So next week, Wednesday, 3:31:13. So again, lots of threes. So continuing at 6:30 here. So Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. Thank you very much. Very interesting, very interesting.